I keep feeling everything so fully today. Oh my goodness gracious, so fully that my heart is just bursting forth with love and with gratitude. I am so very grateful for this opportunity to share with you the message that is coming through. I'm so very grateful to have dedicated, consecrated my life to being self-emptied and spirit-filled, God-filled. I really have so very little to do with any of this. So very little. And so when we become willing to let go, when we become willing to empty ourselves, to be self-emptied, emptied of all of the thought, the thinking, the distractions of a mind believing itself to have been separate from its creator. When we let all that go, all of the chatter, when we begin to let go of thinking our safety, our security, our sources anywhere else, but with our connection with Spirit, with God, we become then emptied that we may be the vessel for Spirit to pour forth its gifts in, through, and as each of us, and we must give forth. It is in that giving and releasing that we empty ourselves, that we may be infilled continuously, that there is no shortage. There is no end to the love, to the guidance, to the peace, to the joy, to the divine right action, that the inspired mind and dedicated, consecrated heart to Spirit is moved to be and do in this world. How many of us here have felt, as expressed in this song so beautifully written by Daniel Nahmad, that, you know what, man, I thought I did it all right, and I'm feeling like I'm knocked down, or I'm feeling lost, or I'm feeling like something is awry. That there's an imbalance perhaps within me or the world that I'm perceiving and seeing right now. And that it is when we can place all of our thoughts and thinking about all of the appearances in the world and place it upon the altar of Spirit, that it can be transformed and transmuted, that we may see clearly, that we may rise above. My whole ministry is dedicated to this. Having matriculated through the science of mind and CSL and unity, the magnificent teachings of over a century ago that helped people remember that they are not victims of the world, and that victim level consciousness, the mindset that life is coming at us and happening to us, shifted. In the co-founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, in Ernest Holmes, in the transcendentalists like Ralph Waldo Emerson, they began to place cause within rather than without. And when we do that shift is a miracle. A miracle is defined as a sudden shift in consciousness where we begin to spiritually awaken to the truth that we're at cause in our lives. That it isn't coming at us or happening to us, but it is coming from us. And that our consciousness is so powerful individually and then collectively, that when we spiritually awaken to this, we can transform our own lives, that then transforms the world. Now you hear our vision and our mission embedded in here. I feel very drawn and committed to applying what we talk about here to the fulfillment of our vision and mission at Unity Renaissance Spiritual Life Center, because I believe that it was given to us as a divine idea in the mind of God. And that everyone who is sitting here is drawn to that vibratory field to actualize it and realize it within our own lives and to be it. And I personally cannot think of a better time to fulfill it than today and now. And that this is a time when, not only in our personal lives, but when our world is shifting so dramatically that many of us feel off balance, and many of us might begin to think something is happening to us. And I'll just say it. Our political world might be shifting so dramatically. Our experience of life, those things that we thought that we stood upon that were stable, feel unstable in our world right now. For many. Not for everyone, but for many. But it's for enough of us where there is something that is chaotic, that there is a it doesn't feel like love, peace, and joy. So we get to anchor it here. We get to be the miracle in the world. And we do it one person, one consciousness at a time. But guess what happens? When we bring our energy together, there's a synergy that happens that's greater than its parts. And that's what we are doing here. And so the idea of this daily miracle based upon our reading, the consecrated life, is our subject matter for today as we go into Consecration Sunday next Sunday. And what I want to say is that it is just like the song, it's those things in our lives that seem to challenge us, that seems to be what we react to, that become the basis, the stepping stones for our spiritual awakening. So what I know is that there is a grand awakening happening right now. I have absolutely no doubt about it. And what I have learned from one of my teachers and one of my friends by the name of Rumi, that I go back to this message all the time, is invite it in. Invite in all those things that you're reacting to. Invite in all the things that irritate you, that you might be complaining about, that you're arguing with. Invite them all in. And this comes from the guest house. And Rumi talks about that every day there's a new arrival. And the new arrival might be a great joy or a despair or a loss or a diagnosis or a shift in our world, in our culture. Invite it all in, bring it all in, and be grateful for whatever shows up, because guess what? It's clearing you out. It's clearing you out for some new delight that you may not even know what it is. And that it may be and serve as a guide for you from beyond. And so we invite it in. I got to tell you, 2 years ago, my life was completely different. It was a little over 2 years ago. Everything, all the structures, when I talk about the structures, everything that I thought I stood upon that kept me safe, my livelihood, my relationships, everything shifted. Everything changed. It was sudden, it was dramatic, and it rocked my world. And I was a woman who had already consecrated her life to God, to Spirit, was already feeling like I was, I'm living a spiritually awakened life. And it rocked me to the core where I questioned everything that I stood up in stages like this and spoke of. And when I say the structures of life, I'm saying my job and my livelihood, gone. I'm saying my primary relationship shifted and changed. I'm saying my housing disappeared. I'm saying everything. I'm not being dramatic. It's what happened? And like the song, you might think, well, what did I do wrong? I'm the creator of my experience. But sometimes life brings us guests that knock upon our door, and that it has a message from beyond that you might not have planned for. And you can argue with it, or you can let go. And you can invite it in and see what it has to say to you for you. And I suggest that's what we're doing now in a broader context. And what I can share with you is that I had to empty my hands and my mind of everything I thought I knew, everything I thought I needed to be safe, to be cared for, to be supplied. And I'm crying this morning because this was just a blink of an eye ago. I stand in this sanctuary listening to us sing how grateful we are. And my heart is so grateful. My life is diametrically different. It has brought joys and delights that I never thought I could dream of, and it didn't come in a way that I thought. It certainly didn't involve Virginia Beach, and it certainly didn't involve a place I hadn't heard of before called Unity Spiritual Life Center, Unity Renaissance Spiritual Life Center. It didn't. None of it was on my radar. But I had to be willing to empty my hands, to empty myself, so something else, so that I could be a vessel in a different way, so that my life could be transformed, so it could be consecrated and dedicated to Spirit and to only Spirit. And so that's when I let go of everything, and that's when I did the Camino. And then when I came back, it was like, now what? And I didn't know what. But I was guided, and that guidance brought me here. And being here through the search committee, through this particular board, through you, each and every one of you, in some way you have loved me. That you have loved me, you've called forth something within me that needs to be shared, that is to be shared here. And in so doing, healing has occurred within me, and a faith restored, and a remembrance of the truth that Spirit and I are one, and that is my source, and that it extends through each of you. My goodness gracious. When you dance with the darkness, as I have danced with the darkness, as I bet you guys have danced, who's danced with some darkness ever, right? When you dance with the darkness that you have created, that darkness is transformed into angels. Light abides with light. We are never forsaken. We are always companioned. And I've got to tell you, something wonderful and magnificent is happening. And it's happening right now. And so I consecrate myself. This came from our reading today. I consecrate myself. I make sacred my life. And I give my life to the living Spirit of truth. I concentrate, so my intention is I offer my life to Spirit. I don't even know what that means half the time, but I claim it, I walk it, I speak it, I intend it. Then I concentrate my faith on goodness. Doesn't look good, but I have faith that it's good. I'm going to concentrate. I'm going to be impeccable with my word. I'm going to claim goodness, and I express love and compassion for the world. I open my heart and soul to the infilling of Spirit. This is how we walk the consecrated life. When another dark period in my life, you get to a certain age, thank God, when you get to a certain age, your life is kind of epic. There were ups and downs, and there was this era and that era, and half of them I don't even remember. It almost feels like it was a different life. Anybody feel like I don't even remember her? Oh, there she is. Okay. And there was another era in my life where I found myself going to 12-step meetings and rooms and campuses like this. And it was the last place I ever wanted to be. I didn't want to hold hands with anyone. I didn't want to hug anyone. I'm like, I don't belong here, but I did. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And there was a prayer. And it was the first prayer in my adult life that resonated with me. We're talking like 40 years ago now. But it was like, and it was this: God, I offer myself to thee. I offer myself to thee. I don't even know what it means, but I'm going to offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me according to your will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them will bear witness to those I would help. Of thy power, not my power, of thy power, thy strength, thy will. May I always do thy will, always. I know what those words meant, and they still work me today because I offer myself. I offer my thoughts, my work, my relationships, my body, my thoughts, everything. Nothing's left out to Spirit. And when I do that, there's a power and a presence that I become the vessel for, that requalifies everything, makes crooked places straight, whispers in my ear the divine right action, put a resume in at Unity Renaissance. Who, where, what? I mean, okay. And the path is made clear. So that's the consecrated life. And we were raised in a culture that believed that we had to suffer and sacrifice in order to have spiritual awakening. And that's the Judeo-Christian, good old suffering, good old guilt, that shame. And my teacher, the revealing word as revealed through Charles Fillmore's writing, listen to how sacrifice is defined here. A refining process that is constantly going on in consciousness. We're constantly opening the guest, inviting the guest in. We're constantly being impeccable with our word. We're constantly shifting to align even when it's uncomfortable. And it's always going on when you dedicate yourselves, when you consecrate yourself to this life. The renunciation of old beliefs that seem good for the new ideas that are more of the nature of Christ. So sacrifice now becomes something that shifts. It's not something that is going to hurt you or you're going to experience a loss because you lose nothing of value. The only thing you lose are old ideas that never were true to begin with. There is no loss in God consciousness. Say, there is no loss in God consciousness. There's no I lose nothing. And I gain everything. Take a breath there. So what does consecration mean? It's the dedication of one's everyday thought to God, to love. The word God doesn't work for you, because it doesn't work for everyone. That's okay. Don't get lost in that. Redo the words. Make it fit for you. The dedication of one's everyday thought to God consciousness, to love consciousness, to love intelligence, to compassion. A complete surrender of oneself to God. Now, again, you're not losing anything. This is the egoic self that you're surrendering. It's the aspect of you that thought you were separate from God to begin with and made up all kinds of stories. That's all you're surrendering that. And when we do that, guess what? Because there's no loss in God and you gain everything, guess what you get? You get your identity back. Oh, yeah. I'm made in the image and likeness of my Creator. Why would I be something else? I'm here for God. I'm here for love. I'm here for this God consciousness, so why wouldn't you consecrate your life to this? Now, my teacher, Michael Beckwith, I love the way he requalified the word sacrifice. He called it making it sacred. We're making something sacred, and that's what we're doing here. So, continuing, the entire mind is brought under the control of Christ consciousness. A whole-souled devotion of spiritual ideas, and it leads to peace. What are you hanging on to, my friends? When I hear the song Empty Hands, and that I may be a vessel, what comes up for me is a story I shared for you a while back. My dad loved golf. Me, not so much. He bought me golf clubs. I mean, that's kind of an investment. And so I tried to golf. And I remember him standing behind me while I was swinging on the golf range. And he kept telling me I was holding on too tightly. My grip was too tight. I needed to loosen my grip. And I remember after that, noticing that when I would fall asleep at night, my hands would be like this. Ever catch yourself like that? And I just started this little practice of opening my hands and loosening my grip. And over the years, it became a symbol of letting go, of trusting. And sometimes when I would drive, I'd be gripping that wheel. Ever notice that? And so begin to practice opening, releasing. Because when we rise out of that victim level consciousness and we go into the level that the Fillmores taught initially, which was, I'm the creator of my experience, so I'm going to be affirmative in my thoughts, we can border on control. We can border on outlining what we think the outcome needs to be. Anybody do that? And then you get upset when it doesn't happen, and then you think this doesn't work, and then you leave. But the point is to keep persisting in letting go of your best ideas, of letting go so that you may be a clean and clear vessel, channel, another word, channel for spirit, beginning to trust that life has a better idea. And sometimes you're on a need-to-know basis, and that's okay. So be the wave. Be the wave. So life is always communicating with you. You can't tell, but the picture up there says this quote, but it's in the men's room. Now you might say, what are you doing in the men's room? It's at the Green Cat Cafe down at the beach. Well, somebody said, come on in here, you gotta read this. And I'm looking at it, and it says, enlightenment for the wave is the moment that the wave realizes that it is water. Thich Nhat Hanh. Or the water. You can't hold on to the water You can't grasp it. You can't control it. You must let it flow and realize you are it. So, in the ladies' room, it said this. The flower doesn't dream of the bee. It blossoms, and the bee comes. We are here to blossom Unity Renaissance Spiritual Life Center, and the bees will come. We are here to be like water, trusting our source, returning to our source. The waves every morning, they express, extend, and they go right back to the ocean. They don't really disappear. They go back to source to extend and express again. That's what we are doing here in this community. We're consecrating, we're making sacred everything that we do, including our giving, especially our giving. We must empty our hands of our gifts, of our treasures, not to meet a need, but because we need to give. The giving is for us. So as we approach this time where we speak directly to our financial giving, I'm going to remind us that it doesn't matter what kind of giving we're talking about. The same principles apply. And the message is simply this: consecrate everything to Spirit. Consult with Spirit. Ask Spirit, what is mine to do, to be, to give, to go? Where am I to speak? When am I to be still? This is a sacred process between you and Spirit, and we do it collectively as a community. And we do it not because there's anything to fear, but because we must, because there's something here. And I skipped over this slide. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be. This community is a treasure. You are the community, which means you are a treasure. And my heart is with you. I am fully here. I am all in. And there's nothing stopping us now. Something wonderful is happening. And I am excited because we're turning this corner here. And it's a bright, brilliant, you've heard this, bright, brilliant future now. And so it is.